Hello, friends. This film tells us about a young guy in love who is struggling to seduce his 40-year-old teacher. Let's look at it together. The film begins with a woman named Lana spending time with her beloved daughter and husband. She really likes to run in the morning and enjoy relaxing by the lake. She is also a lecturer at a prestigious university. On this day, Lana conducts a test for her students. She starts handing out questions and asks students to read them twice before starting to answer. The students begin to write, but Benny, a freshman in college, stares at her, which makes Lana uncomfortable. She tries to ignore him, but she is somewhat struck by his beauty. Then she goes to pick up her daughter Raya from school. Raya complains that she was bored in class. Lana walks her daughter to the car and notices Benny walking his dog on the street. She stares at him before her daughter yells at her to drive. The next day in class, one of her students named Jeremy is giving a presentation, while two girls in the class are looking at their phones and laughing. Lana warns them, but they don't stop their actions. Lana is furious and asks Valerie to hand over their phones. When Valerie returns to her seat, she mumbles something about Lana, and the whole class starts laughing at her. This annoys Lana even more, and she asks Valerie to report this to the head of the department. After class, when Lana is enjoying a cup of coffee, she witnesses Benny bullying Valerie. He grabbed her bag and threw all her things outside. Then he smashed the bike, throwing it on the asphalt. This behavior of Benny shocked Lana. Later, she turns to one of her colleagues with a question about Benny and his attitude towards teachers. Surprisingly, she is given positive information. Benny is described as a calm and unflappable guy. Later, during a break, Lana invites Benny to a meeting in one of the classrooms. She asks him to sit down and then starts a conversation. She says she is concerned about his behavior towards a classmate. Lana explains that Benny has only been in college for a few weeks and he needs to adapt, but he seems to be having difficulties. She offers her help in any matters and touches his knee. Benny looks at her intimidatingly and says he doesn't need her help and doesn't believe her. Lana explains that it's about his future and he failed the mock exam last week. Benny grins and asks what she really wants from him. She seems excited and ends the conversation by going home. At home, she stares intently at Benny's profile, and it seems that she is absorbed in thoughts about him. Soon her daughter interrupts her and reminds her about dinner. She assures her that she will join her for dinner. The next day, after the end of classes, all students leave the classroom. Lana is about to leave, but sees Benny's backpack lying next to his desk. Then she opens it and finds his clothes. She sniffs Benny's t-shirt and gets excited. Lana puts the t-shirt back in his backpack before anyone notices it. Then she rushes to the toilet and drinks some water to calm down. Suddenly, Benny walks behind her and grabs her before she leaves. He starts hitting on Lana. She hesitates at first, but later let him grab her breasts. Benny then starts kissing her neck, but soon Lana stops him and tells him that it should never happen again. Otherwise, Lana might kick him out of college, but Benny tells her that she wants him too. Lana replies that she has never felt any love for the students because they are all younger in age, and comes out of the toilet. At night, she can't sleep for a long time because of an afternoon meeting with Benny, but her husband sleeps peacefully without suspecting anything. The next day, while Lana is walking down the hallway, Benny comes up behind her and walks next to her. He touches her shoulder while walking and asks her to meet him after college. Lana tells him that they can't meet and regrets the incident. She asks him to forget her and leaves this place. Later, she goes to the parking lot and discovers that the side mirror of her car has been damaged and scratches are visible on the side. She guesses that Benny could have done it, but there's nothing she can do. She continues her working day and, as usual, goes to pick up her daughter. On the way, she stops and sees a group of guys, among whom Benny should be, but to her surprise, he wasn't there. Later that day, her husband asks about the damaged car, but she's just lying and says she crashed into a lamppost. Her husband understands that she is lying, but despite this, he just calls her to drink tea. The next day in class, Lana hands out a question sheet to students and asks them to write a cover letter. She asks the class if they have any questions regarding the cover letter. Benny raises his hand and makes some sexy and inappropriate gestures towards Lana and the headmistress. The whole class starts laughing at her. This enrages Lana. She grabs his bag and throws him out of the classroom. Students start throwing things at her, and soon she leaves the classroom. Later, when she is at home reading her daughter's collection of short stories, the phone rings and she picks up the phone. There's silence on the other end of the line, and she hangs up. When the phone rings several times, she picks up the receiver and puts it next to her. The next day, when she goes to college before entering the classroom, she sees Benny inside and panics. She tells the receptionist that she is not feeling well and asks someone to take over the class. At home, while cooking dinner for the family, her husband asks her about her day at college. She lies to her husband, saying that she taught all day, and in the afternoon she had an evaluation interview. The next day, as part of her usual routine, she goes to take her child to school, but does not go to work. Instead, she spends time by the river and eats an apple. She doesn't go to her college for the next few days. She spends time for herself. One day, she goes to a nearby art museum. While watching the pictures, Benny suddenly appears. She panics and starts running away from him, but she fails, and they both end up in the elevator. Benny tells her that he wants to go to college and misses her very much. He finally manages to seduce her, and in desperation, he wraps his arms around her. Benny pulls away when she tries to kiss him. Nevertheless, he satisfies his teacher in various other ways. Lana loses control of herself and finally succumbs to her temptation. After that, Lana returns home early and watches her husband and daughter return home. She is tormented by guilt over what happened between her and Benny. Later, she confessed to her husband that she had a dream that was bothering her. It's summer, and she's swimming. Her husband and daughter play with a ball on the beach while she swims. Something is pulling her down, and she can't come up in any way. Eventually, she was pulled under the water, where she is afraid of suffocating. Unfortunately, she is not strong enough to swim up, so she tried to tell her husband about what happened between her and Benny. The next day, Lana runs through the woods and stops when she gets to the lake. She throws a stone at him to stir up the water. Then she decides to put an end to it. Lana returns to college, sneaks into the administrative office, and steals exam papers from the locker. Then she goes to the cafeteria where Benny and all the other students are having fun. Lana puts the exam paper in Benny's coat and leaves from there. At home, she feels relieved that she managed to get rid of Benny. The next day, while talking to her colleague in the break room, she watches Benny being caught by the cops and smiles at him. He's finally being expelled from college. Lana is very happy that Benny won't show up at college anymore. Meanwhile, Lana spends romantic time with her husband. Her husband tries to playfully fool her by diving under the water, but Lana starts to panic when he doesn't show up. After a while, he pushes her in the back and Lana wakes up abruptly. The next day, Lana misses Benny very much. She remembers the intimate time spent with her student Benny and tries to change her mood, but she fails. A few days later, Lana took her daughter to a bookstore to buy a gift for her friend. Her daughter is angry at her for not letting her buy anything. Lana gets annoyed and is about to leave. Then she turned around and found that her daughter wasn't following her. She searches for it all over the store, but can't find it. Eventually, she called the police for help and checked the store's security camera. Lana is shocked when she sees Benny following her daughter. She thinks he's responsible for her daughter's disappearance. But soon her husband calls her and says that her daughter is at home. Lana reports this to the police and leaves the store. At night on the same day, she hears a knock on the door. She goes after the sound, and after it stops, Lana closes the door and starts dreaming about meeting Benny. Memories of the dark experience begin to haunt her until it is interrupted by her husband. The next morning, he notices that Lana has changed her behavior and asks about it. She tries to distract him, but her husband thinks something is wrong with her. It was finally her turn to chase Benny. She follows him in her car while he rides a scooter. She continues to follow Benny and looks for an opportunity to harm him. She finds a suitable spot and swerves her car right at him and knocks him down. After a moment, she stops the car to look at him. She's breathing hard, but she looks pleased. She quickly opens the door to check the consequences of her actions. She doesn't know if Benny died or not, but she had a good reason to become a criminal. As a result, Lana becomes a murderer, and the film ends. Thank you for watching.